When fairy tales reveal themselves as lies, the pain cuts deeper for having believed them in the first place. That's how Amelia's story begins. The day the tax collector arrives at their modest apartment in Queens is the day her childhood stories of rescue and redemption crumble around her. Growing up, she'd clung to foolish hope that perhaps her empty womb would someday quicken with life, that the shame of her barrenness would transform into the joy of motherhood. But hope proves treacherous when it's crushed. You suffer not just your circumstances, but the ache of having dared to dream at all. The collector's dark eyes shine in the dim light of their apartment, his imposing figure blocking the doorway. Amelia watches from the shadows as her father clutches her younger sister Rebecca protectively, as if the beta enforcer might snatch her away at any moment. The debt has doubled this season. The collector's voice rumbles through their tiny home. By order of Mr. Castellano. Amelia's father trembles visibly at the name. Stories circulate throughout Manhattan about Castellano's ruthlessness, how even his own men fear him. "My lord," her father's voice cracks, "we've had nothing but misfortune this year. If you could grant us more time." The collector's eyes fix coldly on Rebecca, who whimpers against their father's chest. "You know the penalty for failing to pay." The collector sneers at Rebecca's soft beauty. "Castellano requires new staff for his Manhattan estate. This one will do nicely. Everyone knows what happens to those who disappear into Castellano's mansion on the Upper East Side." "But she's promised to be married," their father protests weakly. "She'll give her husband strong children for his family name." He stops suddenly, gaze darting to where Amelia stands in the shadows. "Take my eldest daughter instead." The collector studies Amelia with calculating eyes. "You offer damaged goods?" Her own husband cast her aside after 5 years of marriage. "She's proven useless for childbearing," her father says, the words hitting Amelia like physical blows. "She tells stories," Rebecca blurts out, then shrinks back from the collector's sharp glance. "Beautiful stories. Stories that make you forget the world outside." Amelia closes her eyes briefly, remembering how many times they'd mocked her storytelling, yet now offer it like a prize. Her father shoves her forward. "Tell him yourself." Amelia lifts her head slowly, a bitter clarity washing over her. "I would be honored to serve Mr. Castellano in any way he wishes," she says, her voice steadier than her heart. The collector studies her for a long moment, something calculating in his gaze that makes her skin crawl. Finally, he nods. "The barren one will do. We leave immediately." Outside, a black sedan waits, gleaming in the afternoon sun. As they drive toward Manhattan, leaving Queens behind, Amelia doesn't look back at her family. She'd learned long ago that stories were her only true escape. Tonight, in whatever cell awaits her, she'll imagine a story where her family fought for her, where being different didn't mean being broken. When the sun rises, Amelia catches her first glimpse of Alexander Castellano's mansion. Rising against the bright morning sky, its limestone facade gleams among the luxury buildings of Fifth Avenue, more stunning than anything she could have imagined. The collector, who introduces himself simply as Russo, leads her not through the grand entrance but down a service alley beneath the building. They enter through a staff door, proceeding deep inside to a stone-walled room, where 5 other women huddle together, all looking terrified. A stern woman with steel-gray hair and cold eyes commands them to strip. "You're Mr. Castellano's property now," she snaps when they hesitate. "What you thought was yours, including your dignity, belongs to him." One by one, they remove their clothes, shivering in the cool air. Amelia moves methodically, folding her garments neatly, refusing to show the humiliation burning beneath her skin, as the woman's critical eyes assess every inch of her body. Into washing chambers next, where servants douse them with water cold enough to steal their breath. Rough hands scrub every inch of Amelia's skin with coarse soap until it feels raw, her hair washed twice and combed painfully free of tangles. "Mr. Castellano won't have street filth in his home," the gray-haired woman explains, watching their discomfort with evident satisfaction. "Though I doubt any of you will last the month. You're hardly the beauties he usually prefers." They receive simple gray dresses to wear and instructions on castle rules, who to speak to, where not to go, and the consequences of disobedience. "Tonight," the woman's voice drops ominously, "one of you will serve the master's special guest." The way she emphasizes special guest makes Amelia's stomach knot with dread. Images flash through her mind, being thrown to wolves, offered as some kind of sacrifice to an associate more feared than Castellano himself. "Mr. Castellano himself will select which of you has the honor," the woman concludes, looking them over with cold assessment. You'll be presented to him shortly. Try not to embarrass yourselves or there will be consequences. They're led up a narrow staircase to a small antechamber with polished marble floors. Told to line up and keep their eyes downcast, they wait in tense silence as footsteps approach from beyond ornate double doors. The atmosphere shifts instantly as the footsteps grow closer. The severe woman who had been tormenting them moments before goes rigid, her earlier confidence evaporating like morning dew. A hand presses roughly on the back of Amelia's neck, forcing her head lower. "Mr. Alexander Castellano," announces a voice. The floor beneath Amelia's bare feet seems to vibrate with each step he takes as he moves closer. She keeps her eyes fixed downward, but the air grows heavy with a power that presses against her skin like a physical touch. "The new arrivals, sir," says a male voice with deference, "for your special guest's requirements." A long silence follows, broken only by the frightened breathing of the women beside Amelia, one trembling so violently that she can feel it through the floor. "They're all cowering," comes a deep voice that resonates through Amelia's bones. It holds neither cruelty nor compassion, just a weary disappointment. "How tiresome," he adds, as if this was exactly what he'd expected. Something in that voice, its casual power, its inherent command, makes it impossible for Amelia to keep her eyes down. In all the books she'd secretly read by flashlight, powerful men were described with such grandeur. She'd always wondered if they could possibly live up to the descriptions. Despite her fear, curiosity wins. Slowly, against every instinct for self-preservation, she raises her eyes. What she sees makes every literary villain in her memory fade to pale imitation of the real thing. Alexander Castellano isn't merely handsome. He's sublime in a way that makes her storyteller's mind scramble for comparisons and find none adequate. Sharper than a blade, with high cheekbones that could cut glass and lips that hold a natural curve suggesting perpetual mockery. But his eyes, something ancient and feral lives in those eyes. And suddenly those eyes snap to hers, locking her in place with a gaze that pins her like a butterfly to cork. Amelia jerks her gaze back to the floor, heart hammering against her ribs. "Your selection, sir?" prompts the attendant. She feels rather than sees his attention still on her, a weight that holds her captive. "She'll do," he says simply. She knows without looking that he's pointing at her. The gray-haired woman's breath catches in surprise, but she hurries to pull Amelia from the line. Hours later, Amelia stands before a massive oak door on the 3rd floor, her heart pounding wildly. The air feels colder here, as if winter clings to the mahogany panels and ornate carvings. The head servant smirks, though her hands tremble slightly. "Please the guest, however he desires," she whispers, "or tomorrow you'll face something far worse." Her voice falters on the word, "guest." From inside the room, a sound echoes, somewhere between a growl and a sigh. The guard's grip tightens on his weapon, sweat beading on his forehead despite the cold. When Amelia catches his eye, he looks away quickly. The guard pushes Amelia into the room with unnecessary force. But it's not just a room, it's a vast suite. The air inside is thick with a mix of scents, spices, leather, and something wilder, like forest after rainfall. A mirror catches Amelia's eye, but when she turns toward it, her reflection wavers as though reluctant to take shape. She swallows hard against rising panic. "Is anybody there?" she asks, her voice barely audible even to herself. Someone watches from the shadows. She feels it, an unseen gaze heavy as a physical touch. In the darkness, something moves just at the edge of sight. She takes a step forward, then another, and discovers a banquet spread across a large table. Roasted meats, vibrant fruits, and candelabras casting a golden glow that cannot dispel the room's darkness. Amelia doesn't dare touch anything, instead moving toward the back where heavy velvet curtains hang like sentinels. Pulling them back, she freezes at what she finds. A massive bed fills the space, absurdly wide and covered with silk sheets the color of midnight. The setup becomes clear, the knowing looks from the servants, the lavish meal, this enormous bed. Her stomach lurches violently as she realizes what's expected. She's to be used, to offer her body to whoever this special guest might be. A package resting atop the bed catches her attention, a card with her name scrolled in elegant script. With dread pooling in her stomach, she unwraps the parcel. A gown spills into her hands, midnight blue and shimmering with silver thread. Beautiful, horrifyingly so, like a shroud made of starlight. The air drops to an icy chill as though darkness itself has swallowed it whole. A sound echoes from behind, slow, deliberate footsteps. the scrape of something sharp against hardwood, a low, menacing groan quickly stifled. Amelia turns. The shadows thicken, a void consuming light. "Put it on," comes a voice, deep and distorted, vibrating through her bones like it's forced through a throat not meant for speech. Swallowing hard, she retreats behind a dressing screen, fingers fumbling with the gown's fastenings. The fabric slithers over her skin like cool water, a diamond necklace waiting to complete the ensemble. "Should I wear this too?" she whispers. Silence. Then, closer now. Yes. Amelia clasps it around her throat, the weight simultaneously suffocating and grounding. She steps from behind the screen into a dining room that seems empty, though the presence remains, palpable as fog. "Please eat," the voice instructs. She hesitates before selecting a piece of bread, her fingers barely trembling. The rich flavors turn to ash in her mouth as something moves behind her, a shadow falling across the table. "Do you like stories?" the voice asks suddenly. Amelia nearly chokes on her bread. Yes, she manages, voice barely above a whisper. "Then tell me one, and perhaps I'll let you live until morning." For weeks, Amelia's life settles into a strange rhythm. Nights spent in the mysterious guests' chambers telling stories until dawn breaks. Days filled with the duties of a mansion servant, scrubbing floors until her hands crack and bleed. Each evening follows the same pattern. A beautiful gown awaits her. A feast is laid out, and she weaves tales until exhaustion claims her. "What story do you have for me tonight?" the shadowed figure would ask. Never fully emerging into the light, she would craft her narratives carefully, always stopping before the conclusion. And then, he would press, as she paused at a crucial moment. "Tomorrow," she would promise with the hint of a smile, ensuring her continued survival. By day, her existence is altogether different. Though permitted to sleep later than others, by noon she's on her knees scrubbing marble floors, her fingers raw. "Missed a spot," the housekeeper often says, pointing to an invisible imperfection. The other servants avoid her, their initial curiosity curdling into something uglier. "His creature," a kitchen maid whispers. "That's why she's still alive." Amelia bears their words in silence. Being alone is nothing new to her. Their whispers follow her through the mansion's corridors, growing bolder with each passing day. "She must be bewitching him," a young footman suggests, crossing himself when Amelia passes by. No woman survives the night chamber this long unless she has dark arts at her disposal. A strange hierarchy emerges among the staff, those who fear her and those who hate her, with no middle ground for kindness. Amelia creates a mental map of safe passages, places where sympathetic eyes might acknowledge her existence without cruelty. At night, she records these daily humiliations in a secret journal, transforming her pain into characters whose lives mirror yet transcend her own. Their suffering becomes meaningful, their isolation a crucible for strength rather than a prison of loneliness. The shadowed presence notices the change in her stories, how they've grown sharper, more authentic. "Your tales have edges now," he observes one night, golden eyes studying her intently. "You've started writing truth instead of fairy tales." Occasionally she encounters Castellano in the corridors. Sometimes he ignores her entirely. Other times his perfect lip curls in disgust. "Still entertaining my guest, I see," he remarks once. "He must have peculiar tastes." The servants whisper about their employer constantly, voices hushed and fearful. "He killed his own rival with his bare hands," an elderly gardener confides to another. "I heard it was his brother who disappeared first," comes the reply. Her days aren't pleasant, but her nights, Amelia grows to almost enjoy them. Though after weeks of borrowed tales, her repertoire begins to thin. "I'm not sure I have a story tonight," she admits one evening to the shadowed presence. "Then tell me about yourself," the voice suggests, gentler than she's ever heard it. That night begins a transformation in their relationship. No longer is she merely reciting tales. She's revealing herself, and the shadow listens. He questions her past, debates her choices, suggests different paths she might have taken. "But why did you accept this fate?" he challenges one night. "Because sometimes," Amelia replies, "we see beyond circumstances to possibilities." The shadow grows quiet at that. "And you believe that? That people can change so fundamentally?" Amelia considers her response carefully. "I believe people can reveal who they truly were all along," she says softly. "Sometimes cruelty is just armor." His golden eyes, the only part of him ever visible in the darkness, study her intently. "You speak as if you know something of armor yourself." She does, The armor of indifference worn when her husband cast her aside. The armor of resignation when her father offered her up like damaged goods. One morning, instead of being sent to scrub floors, Amelia is led to a small chamber tucked away in a quiet corner of the mansion. Inside stands a simple desk with a chair, blank parchment, several pens, and bottles of ink. Mr. Castellano says you're to spend your days here now, readying yourself for your nightly duties, the housekeeper explains, barely concealing her resentment. Whatever keeps that thing entertained, she mutters before leaving Amelia alone with the precious gift. Amelia runs her fingers over the smooth paper, heart swelling. In Queens, paper was scarce. Ink, a luxury her father would never waste on her stories. That night, she enters her mysterious host's chambers quietly, clutching pages covered in her careful script. I wrote something different tonight, she says softly. May I read it to you? The shadow settles across from her, the chair creaking beneath invisible weight. Please, comes the reply, gentler than she's accustomed to hearing. Her voice wavers as she begins. Once lived a woman born incomplete in the eyes of others. In a world where women were valued only for what they could produce, she alone remained barren, unable to fulfill the single purpose society deemed worthy. Amelia pauses, swallowing hard. Her husband called her defective. Her family pretended not to know her when others were watching. The neighbors whispered curses and called her cursed by God. The shadow remains motionless, only those golden eyes betraying attention. Each night she would escape into stories, creating worlds where she belonged, where being different wasn't shameful. Amelia's voice grows steadier, stronger with each word. No one ever asked to hear these stories. No one cared about the worlds she built, word by careful word. The eyes in the darkness narrow slightly. Those who rejected her for being barren were fools. The voice interrupts. A womb is nothing compared to a mind that creates worlds. Amelia looks up, startled. Is that how the story ends? He asks. I don't know yet, she admits. Silence falls between them, charged with something she cannot name. Today, for the first time, someone gave my stories value, she whispers. You asked Castellano, who clearly despises you, to give me time and space to write. Her voice breaks. No one has ever seen me before. Not until you. The darkness shifts, as if uncomfortable with her gratitude. I see nothing but you, Amelia, the voice says, her name sounding different somehow on his lips. Will you stay with me? Not as a prisoner, but by choice? Amelia's breath catches. Her heart races with a familiar fear mingled with something new. That night, she dreams of a creature caught between worlds, neither beast nor man, reaching for her across an impossible chasm. She wakes with tears streaming down her face, a strange certainty settling in her chest that something essential hangs in the balance. Morning finds her at the writing desk, composing a story unlike any she's written before. The tale of a man trapped by magic, forced to live divided between shadow and light, between power and isolation, between perfect facade and monstrous truth. Her pen moves with feverish intensity, words flowing like water from a broken dam. This isn't mere fiction. It's a hypothesis, a theory she fears to examine too closely in the harsh light of day. If Castellano and her shadowed companion are one and the same, the implications crash through her consciousness like waves against rock. The cruel behavior in daylight versus the tender conversation in darkness, the identical golden eyes, the way both seem to know details about her that she's only told the other. The silence stretches between them, heavy with possibility. I need time, she finally whispers. Time to know you beyond shadows and stories. The golden eyes watch her for a moment before the voice replies softly, Then time you shall have. 3 nights later, Amelia enters the suite to find it empty. No shadowed presence, no golden eyes watching from the darkness. On the desk lies a note. You are free to go. A car waits below. Her heart drops like a stone into still water. Had she offended him with her hesitation? Was this rejection or a test? Before she can decide, the door bursts open and Castellano himself enters, his perfect face contorted with rage. Get out, he snarls. Now, what's happened? She asks, standing her ground despite her racing pulse. Where is he? Castellano laughs, a cold sound devoid of humor. He's gone. Did you think he'd wait forever for a barren storyteller? Amelia flinches but lifts her chin. You're lying. His eyes narrow dangerously. I've arranged a new position for you, far from Manhattan. The car leaves in an hour. Don't test my patience further. Outside the mansion, autumn has painted Central Park in fiery gold. As Amelia packs the few belongings she's acquired, Her mind races. Something isn't right. The shadowed man wouldn't abandon her without explanation after weeks of listening to her every word. A whisper from a kitchen maid confirms her suspicions. Castellanos engaged to the Blackwell heiress, announcing it at the gala tonight at the plaza. The pieces click into place with terrible clarity. The car takes her not away from Manhattan, but to a small apartment in Chelsea. Your new residence, the driver explains gruffly. Mr. Castellanos' orders. Inside, she finds more paper, ink, and books than she's ever seen. For days, she paces the apartment like a caged animal. Something nags at her memory. The golden eyes watching her in the darkness. Castellanos' eyes narrowing in rage, identical in their intensity, their color, their buried pain. The newspaper confirms the gala, scheduled for sunset at the Plaza Hotel. Without allowing herself second thoughts, Amelia dresses in the midnight gown left behind, slips out the door, and hails a taxi to Fifth Avenue. The grand ballroom of the plaza sparkles with crystal and wealth. Disguised as just another guest, Amelia blends into the crowd, heart hammering as she spots Castellano at the far end of the room, his bride-to-be draped on his arm like an expensive accessory. As the sun begins to set, Castellano grows visibly tense, glancing repeatedly toward the exits. When his eyes sweep across the room, they lock with Amelia's. For one heartbeat, his perfect composure shatters. Pain flashes across his features, raw and unguarded. Around them, Manhattan's elite circle like sharks, oblivious to the storm brewing between Castellano and the mysterious woman in midnight blue. The Blackwell heiress, draped in diamonds that catch the light like tears, notices her fiancé's distraction and follows his gaze. Her perfectly painted lips tighten at the corners, a micro-expression of displeasure that vanishes as quickly as it appears. She whispers something to an attendant who immediately slips away through the crowd, purpose evident in every step. Amelia feels the weight of hostile stares as whispers spread like wildfire through the ballroom. That's her, Castellanos' storyteller. What's she doing here? How dare she show her face? The rumors have preceded her, twisted into something scandalous. The grand clock strikes the hour, its resonant chime cutting through the murmurs. 7 o'clock. Sunset in November. Amelia watches as Castellanos' hand trembles slightly, lifting a champagne glass toward his perfect lips, eyes darting toward the service exit with barely concealed panic. The lights dim for the announcement, but before Castellano can speak, shouts erupt from the entrance. Men with weapons pour into the ballroom, the leader's voice rising above the chaos. The Blackwells send their regards, Castellano. No merger, no peace. The first gunshot splits the air like lightning. Pandemonium erupts as guests stampede toward exits, security guards rushing to protect Castellano and his fiancée. The bride-to-be disappears through a side door, whisked away to safety, but Castellano remains, drawing a weapon of his own. With deadly precision, he takes down 2 attackers before being forced to retreat behind a marble column. From her position against the wall, Amelia sees what others miss, a shooter on the mezzanine taking aim at Castellanos' unprotected back. Without thought, she rushes forward, shoving him aside as the bullet whistles past. They crash to the ground together, his eyes widening in shock. "Amelia," he breathes. "You were about to be shot," she explains, gesturing toward the mezzanine. Castellano pushes her behind him protectively. "Get out of here," he insists, as his bodyguard appears. "Sir, there's no time," the man urges, pointing toward the windows. The sun hangs low, a bloated red orb mere minutes from disappearing below the skyline. "Go," the bodyguard pleads. An attacker lunges at Amelia, knocking her to the ground. A gun presses against her temple. "Surrender, Castellano," the man calls, "or watch her die." Castellano freezes, weapon half raised. The bodyguard grabs his arm. "Sir, the sun is setting. You must leave now." But Castellano's eyes never leave Amelia's face. "Let her go," he commands, voice deadly calm. The sun vanishes. Castellano stumbles, dropping his weapon as pain contorts his perfect features. His expensive suit strains at the seams as his body twists and changes. The gasps around them rise as guests witness the impossible transformation. His spine arches unnaturally, bones crack and shift. His handsome face elongates, features distorting, skin darkening to deepest shadow. His elegant fingers curve into claws, his entire form becoming the very creature Amelia had only known as a voice in darkness. The beast that was Castellano launches himself at her captor with terrifying speed. No hesitation, no concern for witnesses, only rage at the threat to Amelia. The attacker fires wildly, bullets finding no purchase in the shadowy form. Women scream, and men fall to their knees as the beast moves with impossible grace, his body seeming to absorb the darkness around him, growing stronger with each shadow he consumes. His movement defies physics, defies understanding, yet Amelia recognizes the intelligence behind those golden eyes. The Blackwell heiress emerges from her hiding place, her face a mask of horror and betrayal. "You monster," she whispers, backing away. All this time, her words cut off as understanding dawns. The curse, the rumors were true. Through the pandemonium, Amelia catches fragments of hushed conversations, piecing together the legend that had followed Castellano for generations. A witch's vengeance against his grandfather, passed down through blood, splitting each air between light and shadow. Only a love born of truth, not status or power or beauty, could mend what dark magic had torn asunder. The witch's final cruelty, that the curse would end only when someone loved the beast more than the man, despite knowing they were one and the same. Around them, the battle pauses as even the attackers gape at the revelation. Security regains control, driving back the remaining assailants as Castellano, the beast, the shadow, her storytelling companion, stands in the center of the ballroom, monstrous and magnificent. He staggers, a pained growl escaping him as a bullet wound becomes visible in his side. Amelia approaches without fear, placing her hands on either side of his transformed face. "It was you," she whispers. "All along, it was you. I love you," she says clearly, for all to hear. "Shadow or man, I love you." Something changes in the air, a charge like lightning about to strike. Light emanates from within him, pulsing brighter with each labored breath as the transformation reverses, leaving Alexander Castellano human again beneath the ballroom's chandeliers. His wound healed, his eyes, those familiar golden eyes, seeing only her. Thank you all for following this story. If you enjoyed it, write in the comments where you're watching from, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video, because your support is what keeps me creating these stories for you.